Hey guys, welcome back to NolaPapa. It's been a minute. We've had a lot of things going on, but I am so glad you're here. I have something that I think that is very important in the journey that my husband and I have chosen to do in regards to our adoptions. And I really feel like that this piece of the puzzle is something that's super important. There's so many things to think about when you start this adventure of adoption. There's, which avenue are you going to take? Are you going to adopt? Are you going to foster? Are you going to have surrogacy? There's so many things. And then, once you do land, like if you choose like what we did with adoption, how are you going to do that? Are you going to go through the state, or are you going to go through a private agency? There's literally so many things that you have to think about that can really sometimes make you want to pull your hair out. And I feel like that touching on some of these bases might help someone out there that may, be going through what we've gone through. So with that said, I would love for you to subscribe to our NolaPapa YouTube channel. If you like the content, please like it and subscribe and comment below and chime in and be part of the conversation. Let me know what you and your family are doing and why you have chosen to go that avenue. And while you're doing that, go to Facebook and like the NolaPapa Facebook page and follow us on Instagram. Follow our journey at NolaPapa. It's all about, bringing our little community together and, bringing positivity in our lives on the daily, because there's so many things that can piss you off in a day. And this is about making you happy and learning something and embracing all the differences and, being tolerant and just being happy. So with that said, I want to talk about open adoption and why my husband and I chose to have open adoption in our lives. It's powerful and it's so important. So let's talk about it. Open adoption. So like I was saying, there are so many different decisions, very important, crucial, life-changing decisions that you have to know when starting out this journey of adoption. And, there are different layers to figuring out which direction you want to go. And, it's another episode to talk about why we, both chose adoption. But after you do choose adoption, then you're left with another decision about if you want it to be an open adoption or a closed adoption. And first, I want to distinguish between the two. When there is a closed adoption, and this is, with a private agency, you don't know who the birth mother is. You only fill out the paperwork, very detailed paperwork of what your preference is when it is regarding to the baby. And you don't meet the mother. You don't know anything about the mother except, the health history. But that is a closed adoption, and when there's an open adoption, then you are told about this particular birth mother, and you can have pictures, and you know her origins and the story and a little bit of the bio of why she chose to go the adoption route. And with that, you are left with a decision of if you want to meet her and start a relationship of knowing who she is and what she's about, and you come to an agreement with maybe after the baby is born, the frequency, if at all, visits with the baby. And some mothers don't want to do that. Some birth mothers do. And personally, I can't imagine that amount of heavy emotion that goes into a birth mother choosing to put her baby up for adoption in the first place. So to even branch off and think about, establishing a relationship with this said baby, it's the magnitude of those emotions I can't even comprehend. All I know, and all I know that me and my husband know, is we respect the birth mother's decision and whatever she chooses to do. If she wants to establish a relationship after the birth, then we can come up with a solution, a plan to have her in some capacity part of our life. And if she doesn't want to, then that's fine too. We are beyond grateful for this opportunity. And if she feels like that she needs to be guarded and not establish an emotional connection, then we respect that. And, I am not speaking for anyone else out there, but just keep in mind what they're going through. There's a level of fear that goes through people's heads when it comes to open adoptions. I have heard horror stories about, the birth mother changing her mind, or the birth family comes back into the picture and takes the baby away. These instances are not happening all the time. It's a very low chance that would happen. Of course there's fear associated with it, and that's normal, but make sure that it's a rational fear, and do some research about open adoptions and see for yourself what I'm talking about. I don't know statistically, but I do know that in Louisiana, where we live, there is a year mark from the time that the baby is born until a year after you finalize the adoption. If both names are not on the paperwork and the finalization of the birth mother and the birth father, then there could be someone come back into the scenario, into the situation, and try to regain custody of the baby. They would have a long road ahead because they would have to show the judge that they are deemed a better house than the adopted family. So, you know, there's a long road for that to actually happen in the courts. So you can rest assured, if you provide a loving and healthy household for this baby, and you're able to prove that with your attorney and with the courts, then there's nothing to worry about. But the chances of that even happening are so slim. So you don't want to hold on. It's like going in an airplane and being, convinced that it's going to crash. You're more likely to get in a car wreck than that, So it is important to be rational when making such a heavy decision. There are so many beautiful things that can blossom from an open adoption. For example, both of our girls have different scenarios. Our oldest, we didn't have much of a relationship with the birth mother during the pregnancy because we only had a 3.5 week window of when we adopted. So that was a different scenario. And after our daughter was born, then we established this beautiful relationship. And I can honestly today say that we love our birth mother from our oldest's situation. And then our youngest, we developed a relationship with her birth mother during the pregnancy. And then after she gave birth, she in a way disappeared. And that's fine. Two complete different scenarios. And like I said, it's all in what they feel comfortable with, what they feel like is the most healthy choice for them. So both are different. Both are beautiful. We would like for the first scenario to happen because we're able to be open and honest and tell our girls the origins of the beginning of their life. We want them to know that they were loved so much, and they were loved so much that their birth mother chose a new life for them because they thought that by finding them a new family, we could provide a better life. And that is the ultimate sacrifice and most beautiful choice. And, that establishes trust. And we want them to know the true origins, because when they get older in life, we want them to look back and to remember that Daddy and Papa told them the truth, that we were open from day one. We didn't hide anything. And that to me is beautiful. Now, with the other scenario with our youngest daughter, we will still be honest with her, but we will not be able to have the visits like we have been able to have with our oldest daughter with her birth mother. And that's okay. We will still be able to tell her, the beauty and the love that was felt for her when she was born by her birth mother. We just will not have visits with her. Maybe one day later in life, if it's a healthy situation and it's a scenario that Douglas and I feel comfortable with, then reevaluate that. With our oldest daughter, her birth mother, we see like maybe 2 or 3 times a year. And we were able to, be open about everything with our oldest. And she looked forward to those visits. And I love that. I love, not only are we able to see this beautiful relationship blossom, but this must feel so gratifying to the birth mother, and being able to watch their offspring develop and grow and mature, and all these beautiful things that come as the child grows. And each year that passes, I feel like our bond with her, with the birth mother, or our first oldest daughter, grows and matures as well. And we would have never been able to experience that if we would have held on to these, irrational fears about her coming back in and taking the baby. That it's okay to have fears, but educate yourself and know that a lot of times that's just a protective mechanism in our brain to help us, be okay. And at the end of the day, you think outside of those fears and what would be best for that baby. And each and every person out there is going to have a different opinion. Some people are more closed off and they feel safe. And at the end of the day, it's whatever makes you feel safe and makes you sleep good at night. That's the bottom line. Some people don't even know how to start the dialogue with their kids about adoption. And, again, that's where fear really plays a big role, because, there's these, I don't want to call other people's thoughts irrational, but, my mind has gone there before, so I can say that my mind has had irrational thoughts about, if I do talk about adoption, what if they want to meet one day their adoptive parents, and what if they like them more than me? That's silly for me to think that. I'm not saying that's silly for you to think that, but for me personally, that was silly. And I needed to really reevaluate my thought process. And one of the best ways that we chose to open this dialogue, this very important, crucial dialogue, was by children's books. And there are some really good books out there. There's not many gay dad adoption books, but there are a lot of good adoption books, and a couple of books that really helped establish that dialogue. And Tango Makes Three. It's a really sweet, true story book about 2 penguins in the New York, or maybe the Bronx Zoo. Then there's another abstract one called Red in the Flower Bed, and that doesn't really use humans as much as it uses like a garden and different flowers in a flower bed. And that one gives me chill bumps, because that can apply to all races, all genders. It's about flowers and the beauty of color in flower beds. It's Red in the Flower Bed. I strongly stand by that book. And we were able to introduce this heavy topic through a lighthearted way of children's books. And I remember one night we were talking about adoption because of these books that we read. And our oldest asked about her birth mother. And my husband and I just looked at each other and we were like, what? So that was able to initiate this conversation. And I was so eager and happy to text our birth mother and be like, oh, she just asked about you. And now she wants to meet you. So we were able to have a meeting with her. And Allie Mae's reaction to her, because she had seen her multiple times, she just wasn't able to put the two together because she hadn't been told. And when we had her over for dinner, Allie Mae looked at her and was like, do you want to go play toys with me, birth mother? Like the innocence, that beauty. I can't even articulate those feelings into words. And now, whether it's Valentine's Day or her birthday or Christmas, Allie Mae she looks forward to being able to say hi to her birth mother. And to me and to my husband, there's nothing wrong with that. Because at the end of the day, we are two dads. And to have that feminine role in some capacity, I think it's beautiful. And I welcome it. And if you've never thought about an open adoption, I strongly advise you to, number one, do your research and listen to stories and replay this video, because we highly, strongly stand by our decision. She's 4.5, almost 5 years old, and there's not a day that goes by that I am not 110% proud of the road that we took when we decided to choose open adoption. It's so gratifying, and I hope, I'm not saying that you should because I don't know your situation, if you and your significant other, your husband or your wife, feel like that influence is important enough to be introduced into your domain and to your family, then you might want to think about it. Now, if it's not a healthy relationship and that birth mother does have loose edges and may seem like there's just something not right, I'm not saying do it. I'm saying that if all parties come to an agreement and you have goosebumps and you feel like that this is the right thing to do, then that feeling right there, that's when you think about it. You really meditate and you come up with a solution. That's it. So I'm eager to know what y'all have done. So comment below and let me know. Did y'all choose open adoption? Did you choose a closed adoption? Which way did you build your family? Was it surrogacy? Was it fostering? Adoption? Talk about it. I'd love to know. So until next time, peace out.